Hello, Craftin' buddies. It's Lori from Lori's Little Bit of Crafting, coming to you on Tuesday, May 27th. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, coming to you from Wisconsin. And let me get my other device going here. It's got a little bit of a delay, so that way I can see if anybody's joining me and leaving some comments. So I'm really enjoying using this Inspiring Imperfections stamp and die set. It's a bundle, but I bought the suite. It's on pages 58, 59, and 60 of the current annual catalog, and it's called the Kintsugi Inspirations Suite Collection. And I'm kind of just, I don't know, flying by the seat of my pants, I think is the term. We're going to make two cards just because if you're going to make one card, you may as well make two. Hello, Emily. So you're from southern Wisconsin. I'm from southeastern Wisconsin. Whereabouts are you? I don't remember asking you before. So I'm going to make two cards, and I've talked about it before. When I do my card bases, I've got my 8.5 by 11 sheet. I scored it 4 1/4 right away, and then I go ahead and cut at my 5.5, so I have two card bases all at once. So I'm going to go ahead and take one of these and burnish it. I may as well just burnish them both because I'm going to try to do two cards here, and hopefully it won't take me too long. I'll try not to be as putsy as normal. I cut out some of these other pieces on one of my last projects, and they were sitting here, so I thought, oh, I think I'm going to try to do this. I also am using the designer series paper that comes with this suite, and I have to see what it's called because I don't remember. It's a Kintsugi Inspirations Specialty Designer Series paper. So the sheets have the metallic, the gold inflections on them. So for one of the cards, I'm going to go ahead and put a layer on here. And I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal tonight. Hopefully it will not cause me problems. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But it seems to be cooperating right now. All right. And we'll just go ahead. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. So it's just that little bit of border around the whole layer. And then on this one, you know what I should have done? I should have die cut this out because we're going to cover up most of this. So if ever you want to be frugal with your paper, particularly the really pretty DSPs, if you want to be more frugal, or with your metallics, a lot of times what I'll do is whatever my layer size is, I will take a die that will cut smaller than what the layer is going to be, and then I'll just die cut out of the center, and then I'll use that piece for another card. I should have done that. I even had the dies here. I just wasn't thinking for a second. So Windsor, 10 miles north of Madison. South Central. Yeah, it does. Yeah, close enough. You're in the southern half of the state. I've been up through Madison a number of times. Let's see, like Cottage Grove, up to the Dells, Baraboo, some of those places, Rock Springs, Reedsburg. So I'm sure I've probably seen it, just not paid attention. Well, thanks for popping in tonight. All right, so we are going to die cut a piece out of here, and I'm going to use that die cut on my next card because this one we're going to make into a shaker, and we'll see how it works out. All right, let me get my Pearson mat, and I'm going to kind of put this, I think I'll put it over on this side, anticipating where I'll probably put a sentiment. And I'll just let that soak in a little bit. That looks really nice. So this is the Secret C. And let me get my cut and emboss machine. We'll just pull out my big one, the one that I call Bossy Bessie. And we'll get the base plate, the shim plate, and 2 cutting plates. And I already have my die out, but I'm going to grab a piece of washi tape. So I can kind of keep it from sliding around too much. This is really narrow washi tape, so hopefully it'll work all right. And these are a very close border. Some of the dies give us a little bit of an outline, but this one cuts pretty close. And let me find the plate here. So let's go ahead and run this through. Now I offset my plates. Sometimes I will push the bottom cutting plate in so that my top ones can grab, or I'll just stagger them. Either way, it works so that you're not putting all of the edges through the machine at the same time. And I think that might be all I'm going to die cut, so I'll go ahead and put this away. Well, I'm glad you like my projects, Emily. And I have been, DeForest is very familiar. It's been a while since I've traveled up that way. I used to go up into that area every year in August. All right, so this piece is going to come here, and we're going to make this a vase, but I'm going to make this into a shaker card just because we can. And I use my adhesive strips. So I think this one is a good length for this side. So first let's do this. Let's go ahead and put our window sheet on here. Sorry, I'm trying to think and work at the same time, and sometimes that doesn't work so good for me. But if we put our window sheet on first, make sure there. I saw a little speck on there, but it's on my glass mat, not on my card. So now we can put some of these around here. And this, the adhesive strips are really flexible. So you can take a strip and form it pretty much however you need it to be. So I used up that one. And we'll use these two here. Use up some of my little scraps. I've been using a lot of these lately for some different projects, so we'll just snip that down there, and I can save that for another fill-in piece, I think. So we'll pop that in there. And I am going to put some more around here. I should have maybe done this a little bit differently, but we're going to wing it and hope it turns out all right. So we'll put some of these around the edge of our card as well, so that it's all supported. Oops, I guess I need to turn that over so the sticky part is down. And I don't usually fold at the corners like I did around here, where I just kind of bend it. when I'm going around the edge of my card, I usually like just a straight strip. So let's pull out some more here. We'll use up a lot of my little scraps. And then it looks like I need about to there. So Emily, with the current catalog, hopefully you have one. What is your favorite item or items? There were actually quite a few things that I really took a fancy to. Lots of things to try out. Just trim this one here. All right. So this one, I'm going to have to be kind of careful here. That's going to be kind of plain. I should have probably stamped on here first, but I think what I'm going to do is actually I'll glue these on and we'll put some of these on. We'll fill that in with our sentiment. It'll be fine because this one I want to use with the other card and we'll see how that works out. I probably, who knows what I should have done. So I'm going to go ahead and put a bunch of these in here. You can at least get the idea of how to make a shaker card if you are not familiar with them. I've done them a couple of different ways. I could have put some of my border around here, filled it, and then just put my clear piece on top of that, which sometimes is easier. But unfortunately, I just didn't have my head screwed on all the way tonight, I guess. So we'll see if that should probably be good. So I'll just start taking some of these off and hopefully not spill everything. This is where I have to kind of concentrate so I don't spill. You know, sometimes it's like you're trying to create a project, you're trying to watch the comments and narrate, and sometimes I just don't juggle all those things really well together at the same time. But hopefully everybody enjoys it. I don't want people to be bored, but sometimes if there's really nothing to say, the silence is better, I suppose. All right, so all of those are off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another clear piece and I'm just going to cut this down a little bit because it'll make it a little bit easier when I want to go line it up. So I'm just going to put this, hopefully you can see it. I'm just putting that on the inside here so I still have plenty of adhesive here to go around my card. All right. So let's then flip this over now and I can put this wherever I want. And it would be nice if I could get it straight. It just kind of was doing its own thing. It's a little crooked. It doesn't want to let go either. The banner dies and the letters, they're on my wish list too. They weren't available to demonstrators during the pre-order. Sorry, I'm struggling with this, but I really wanted to get this a little more centered. They were not available to us as demonstrators during the pre-order, or that probably would have been something I would have gotten early on. I think I'm still a little off, but that's going to be okay. All right, so with these, I think I'm going to give them a little bit of color. We'll see how it works. Hopefully they're not so delicate that I ruin them. Let me get some of my debris out of the way. Get my adhesive strips out of the way. I've got my blending brush here. and Strawberry Slush, which is a new in color. And this is Cloud Cover, so that's one of the new in colors as well. And let's just put some color on these. And I'm not pressing very hard at all on that one. And I'm going to try to do maybe a little darker on another one, and we'll kind of fade out to white maybe. We'll give it some dimension. And then maybe a little darker and fade up on that one to white. Yeah, that'll work. Those would make great stencils too if you wanted to make like your own little background. Maybe I should do a little bit of that. I might ruin this card. I don't know. We'll see. That's coming through a little bit. I got a little smudge there. I don't know if you can see that, but there's just a faint design there. I kind of like it. It would have been smarter if I would have done it before I put everything together. But that's what happens when you just kind of do cards on the fly. That's a little darker. Let's go down a little further with that one. Oh, I like that. All right, so let's close this because otherwise I will surely get inky. And then let's decide how we want to put this. And I'll put a little glue on here. We probably only need the one branch maybe. And then the sentiment that I picked on here, that might be a little much, I don't know. I could shorten this branch a little bit. Fifi, you made it. You can see me kind of throw this together by the seat of my pants. All right, I think I'm just going to put the two on there, and I'm going to trim this because I think having it a little shorter is better. So I'm going to move these out of the way. Yeah, ideas do come as you create sometimes. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Last night I made a flag card in honor of Memorial Day. I had recently gone to a painting class, and I'm not an artist by any stretch of the imagination, but we have in a neighboring county, we have a Pinos palette, which is a place where you can go and they talk you through creating your painting. And if you trust the process, I think we went this way. If you trust the process, they turn out actually surprisingly well. Two of the gals that are on my team went with me, and we made a flag. So this is the painting we made. And then I did, with that as inspiration, here is the card I made, but I didn't affix that yet. So there's the card I made using that painting as inspiration. So that's what I did last night. So tonight, let's finish this little gem here. We'll put some glue. And this is just the Tombow liquid multi-purpose glue that I put in the fine tip glue bottles that I got at our dollar store when it was still a dollar store. Now I call it the $1.25 store because everything is at least $1.25. I don't go there real often because everything is made in a country other than the United States. And I would rather buy things that are made in the US whenever I can. So I'm not sure. I think I had it this way. So we'll put that on there. And then we'll put some glue on this one as well. Thank you, Fifi. The painting, it was really fun. A little scary because, you know, the gal who's talking you through it, she was very young and very patient with everybody. I don't know if I could be that patient. But, you know, they talk you through, do this color first and do this. And she's demonstrating while we're trying to copy her. And it turned out quite well. I've done a couple of snowmen. And then I also did, I like it like this. I also did a tree. So it was like a landscape, but there was a tree. The sample was a winter tree, and I made mine into a fall tree. The two other gals I was with, one did like a spring set of colors and one did a summer set. So we all did very different pictures, but they all turned out really pretty. So I like to use those as inspiration sometimes. Just, you know, you get set doing all of your paper crafts and then you forget that there are other things out there to be creative. And that's why like a lot of the kits that Stampin' Up! Is doing right now also, because like the paper bouquet, I don't know if you've done that one, but that one is just really, really pretty. So let me get that out of the way. Let me cover up my sequins so that I don't lose all of those. I don't think I'm going to use any more of those. And let's do our sentiment. Excuse me. I might do a little bit of shading on here too. I probably should have done, I was going to say I probably should have done like Misty Moonlight or some more of the Secret Sea, but it is what it is. We'll do the sentiment in the Secret Sea. Now, I've not used the thank you sentiment on here, so I actually stamped some Versamark on there first, because I do find that if I condition it, if you will, with the Versamark, it makes it a little stickier and I get better images from my stamps. And I like that. So let's put that away. And I'm just going to hopefully snip straight. If I don't think about it too much, I usually do a little bit better. And then we'll just soften up some of that color, soften up some of the white. Actually, it looks like it's not quite straight. But I'm going to put that here. And I'm not going to put it up on dimensionals just because I've got the shaker raised on dimensionals. But I almost think I want a design on that, and I don't know. Let's pull out these dies anyway and see. I probably cut it too small for this one, and it'll be too big for this one, of course. So I think what I'll do is get another scrap and restamp it. And we'll just do that because it'll be easier. There is a way that you can use your die and, you know, let's say I wanted to go, I could cut like here and then I could move my die and cut on that side. So you can make the piece any size you want it to be. But I think I'm just going to wimp out and use my die and restamp it. Yeah, shaker cards are, you know, they're not for everybody. And I have done them so they're not quite so complicated looking too. But they're so easy, and you know, I like to use them a lot when I do kids cards because the kids really seem to get a kick out of them. Adults do too, but I think the kids probably enjoy them a little bit more. Now, when I'm putting through dies that have straight edges, I lead with a corner. So you probably heard how quiet that went through, which is very different than if you run the die straight through this way. The rollers have to fight with that straight edge. So if you lead with that corner, it's more gradual and it's easier for the die to cut. And that turned out really quite nice. All right, let's put this away again. Now, hopefully I'm done with that. And let's stamp this again. We'll see if I can make it turn out as nice. And I just tap ever so lightly because these come pretty juicy. And we'll line that up. I usually hold it on for just a few seconds so that the ink can absorb into my paper. And that might have actually turned out a little bit nicer. And then I'm going to go ahead and soften that up again with a little bit of the strawberry slush. It's very faint, but at least it's not all white. And then, where did my card go? Here, I'm looking right at it. We'll put this here. And I think I'm going to get my marker for the Secret C. Oh, my blends. These just came. So this is the light Secret C. Let's see how that might look kind of pretty. Just to put a little bit of flick on here. We'll do a little bit more. I don't know if you can see that very well on camera, but let me put some adhesive on here. Now when I do shaker cards, I don't trust using the liquid glue because I don't know if I'm patient enough to let it dry, and I don't like things sliding around. I wonder if I can sneak that under there. Yes, I can. So there. All right. There's a cute little shaker card. A little plain and simple maybe, but I think it's a good mix of the colors with the strawberry slush. And then you've got the cloud cover and the Secret C in there. So there's card number 1. Card number 2, let's see how this is going to look, because I was going to go like this and use this, but that's a little too busy for me. So let's get rid of the Designer Series paper. And let's, I'm going to put this up on dimensionals for sure. Sometimes when I put it on dimensionals, it kind of helps me visualize what I want to do. Now, we could use this and make our own Designer Series paper, or I could look for something that's too busy. It needs something, right? So I think what we're going to do is we're going to put stems on here and emboss with the gold embossing powder. Thank you, Emily. I'm glad you like it. So let's go like this. And this will come here. And let's get the gold. I should have used my embossing buddy, but of course I didn't think about it because I'm live and I don't always anticipate everything. Guess I need a little bit more here. So usually when I emboss, I use my embossing buddy because that does help cut down on the static and having powder end up where you don't really want it. So let's go ahead and get my heat gun. Now when I heat up my embossing powder too, I heat from the back of my paper because then I can watch the magic happen. And hopefully you can see it start to get shiny. So when it goes from dull to all the way shiny, it's good to go. Hopefully you can see that. So this is going to end up here. I'm going to trim this down. I think I want it a little bit smaller. So let's take a 1/4 inch off of here and a 1/4 inch off of this side, I guess. Maybe I'll do a 1/16 or an 1/8 rather on each side. And see how that looks. And then what we can do is, let me get my other cloud cover ink here. Now, as a demonstrator, I was able to order cloud cover ink pad. This is a color, excuse me, this is a color that Stampin' Up! Was not satisfied with the quality control because some of the colors, some of the ink pads shifted color, and they didn't like how that turned out. So rather than get rid of all of them, they let demonstrators order the pads. So I did order my ink pad, and we'll see how this works because I want to kind of put a little bit of design on here. What I did find too is when I was stamping, if I used my Secret C, if I stamped off twice, the third stamp ended up being the cloud cover color. So it was pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and add some of these to the base of my card. And I'm using the back side because I'm going to use that front side. And that's the last one that I had cut out. So I have to be kind of careful here. But we're kind of making our own designer series paper in a fashion here. I'm just going to do the corners, I think. And I could have stamped, I suppose, but there's not a stamp with this set of flowers. The flower that's in the stamp is either just this small one or this one. And that's actually in the designer series paper too that I used a die for and cut those out. But let's see how that kind of breaks it up a little bit. I think I'm going to put some on the edges. So to avoid burning your embossing powder, because I have had that issue as well, if you do heat it too long, you'll like melt it right into the paper and then it becomes like a matte finish again instead of shiny. So you might be holding your heat gun too close to your paper or too long, or if you hold it in one place too long, depending on your heat gun, sometimes it'll burn that way. So sometimes I will actually take my heat gun and, so let's say I'm moving it on the paper. If I go underneath, because I can watch it change, I am less likely to overheat it. But also if you move it around a little bit on your paper, or if you go at an angle. So when you're going at an angle, you're working on a set point basically, but some of the heat is actually diffusing to further on your design. So like on this one, if I was on the bottom, I would be going this way, and then that heat travels toward the rest of my design, so I can kind of see it change without it getting overheated. I hope that makes sense, and I hope it helps. I love embossing though, because I think it just adds so much to a project. One of the gals on my team and I were talking, I think just yesterday, we were messaging actually, not talking, but she was reminiscing about how when she had first started stamping, and she found out about embossing powder, she embossed everything. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, so, you know, emboss something on each card. She said, no, like the whole front of the card had embossing on it. I'm like, okay, well, that might be a little much. But I like to emboss. And I like texture, so that helps. So I think I like that. It kind of softens up that side of it. And this is going to go here. So I think what I want to do too is make a slit in this so that the stem actually looks like it's coming out of my vase or my vase. So we'll just cut a little slit here. If I had a separate piece, what I would do is just cut a slit and then slide it in there. But for this one, I'm just going to kind of go like this. So it looks like it's coming out of the vase. And I'm going to curve this just a little bit. And kind of like when you're fussy cutting, I move the paper rather than my snips. Let's see how that looks. I think from straight on, I think that'll work. All right, so let's go ahead and put this on our card. Oh, and Fifi, yeah, if you do it from the back, it does keep it from burning. I guess I was not reading the comments thoroughly before I started talking about my technique. All right, so that's pretty good. I'll go ahead and put this on. And I think before I do that, let's close up the cloud cover. Actually, let's take a look at this. I'm gonna rinse this off here quick. I got my chamois. Let's see how the cloud cover stamps. Too light. I think that's too light. So I'm gonna go ahead with the Secret C for my sentiment, and I'm gonna do another thank you. Just because I seem to use thank you cards more than anything else. And I'm going to put this right on here, I think. Hopefully I won't get a halo, and if I do, I will be adding a layer for my sentiment. So we'll put this down here. And hopefully it's straight since I already stuck it on. That is pretty darn good. I got lucky. All right, so let's go ahead and put this on here. And then we'll put this on here. And I probably should have, I'll have to cut more because that's not quite enough. That'll go on there. I'll cut another one. I won't waste your time tonight unless you really want me to. So you can see more what it really looks like. But I'll add some more flowers on there. And, oh, that's what else I was going to do. I was going to put cracks on the vase. I might have to cut gold because I was going to emboss those in my head. I was going to emboss those. I think we'll just pop that right about there. And I'll do some more flowers. I could actually use this piece and add, let's see where that would go. There, like that. I think I'll just add that on there. That'll look good. Because I had this one other piece cut from the other day. And I'm being very skimpy with my glue so that it doesn't smudge off the side of my project here. I think that's pretty close. I'm going to snip just this little piece here because that was a little too long. All right, and then if I add more flowers, oh, you have time? Okay, you can always, you know, do a replay if you don't have time to stay. So let's go ahead and pull out that die. And here we go. So there's a big die and there's a little one for those flowers. So I'm going to do both. Now, Fifi, you're on the West Coast, right? Are you in Washington? I don't remember. I apologize. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Yes, so here's my little, give me a thumbs up if you like it. When my husband and I were traveling, we went to a little souvenir shop, of course, because that's what you do. And I found these. There were 3 of them. One's a peace sign. One's like the okay, I think. And one was the thumbs up. And I thought, I got to get that. So I got it. All right. So let's go ahead. And I think what I want to do, before we go too much further, I'm going to add some strawberry slush right away. And I apologize. I am definitely a messy stamper. All right, so let's go ahead and put a little color on this before we die cut and see how that turns out. It might be a little bit easier. Whoop, that got kind of dark, but it might not matter. It might not matter once we do the die cuts. It should, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Let me close this up because I will ink myself. And, oh, there's my other plate. I already have it out. All right, so again, normally when I'm talking about doing your cutting plates, sorry, we're using the first platform and we're doing the shim because we're using the dies. Usually I will put my first cutting plate back a little bit, like half an inch or so, and then I'll put my other cutting plate so that it's flush. That way when it goes to the machine, it grabs just those couple of layers instead of all 3. When you have all 3 of them at the very top, it is harder for the machine to grab. And just hear how smooth that is going through. And then on the last ones that I cut, I just staggered my plates. So I had the base and the shim, the first cutting plate, the second cutting plate. And because they're beveled, it helps feed it through easier. So if you struggle with your machine sometimes, just rearrange those plates a little bit and it usually will help. Well, sometimes it'll help. Let's see if I can get this to pop out. All these little pieces are popping out. At some point, my piece, there we go, will usually fly out of there. I had my granddaughter doing a live video with me, and she took one of the pieces and she just flicked it over there and it came out really quite nicely. This one, because it's smaller, might take a little bit longer. Usually I can get them to pop out after the first or second fling, but that one was being stubborn. All right, so I have a little magnet over here. I have a magnet sheet that goes under my glass mat that I got from Amazon. And then I have a magnet from the Stamparatus that I put on there, and that way when I push my dies out of the way, I just put them there so that when I'm done, I can do my little head count and make sure that I have all of my dies. All right, so this piece, we could go, I just don't want to make it look like, oh, it's just a repeat. So I want to have it turned a little bit, and I think what I'll do is just kind of let it hang there. And I think that gives it a nice balance. So let me get my glue. And we'll do this piece first. And that hopefully will be enough. And I'll just let that kind of hang down there. That might work. And I've got this flower kind of up. I don't think I put glue on there at all. And maybe I didn't do enough glue, or I just didn't press it down hard enough. And then we'll put, I think, some of those gold sequins. I like them because they don't have holes in them. Some of the sequins, you know, they'll have holes in the middle of them, and I don't particularly care for that. So I liked these because they didn't have the holes in them. So if we just, whoops, lay some of these out here, let's see how it looks. I think this one might be too big and gaudy. All right, well, there's a few others that are smaller. And I could get my take your pick tool. I think we'll do 2 up here and maybe just the 1 down there. And then I think what I'm going to do is more of that flicking with my Stampin' Blends, because I think that will be a nice touch. So I need glue. We'll just do a little dot and pop that down on there. So Fifi, I don't know if you saw, I think it was yours, your comment. One of the last times I was on a video or a live here, because my tablet is a little delayed from when I actually end a video, I didn't see your comment come through, so I wasn't ignoring you. If that was yours, I apologize, because I would not knowingly ignore you. All right, so I'm going to use the light Secret C, and let's just do a few more little flicks across here, and that just kind of breaks up that solid white. So there's that one. I don't know if you can see those little flicks or not, but I steer the flicks so that they don't cover like the whole thing, but I kind of have a stream. So those are my 2 cards with the Kintsugi inspirations from the catalog, starting on page 58. It's on 58, 59, and 60. But I think this is gorgeous. Oh, and I probably could have pulled out these gems too, because I did find them. Of course, I probably moved them and can't find them again now. But those would have been pretty instead of the sequins. But it is what it is. They're on there. Thank you, Fifi. I'm glad you like them. And that's all I've got for you tonight. Just those 2. So thanks for popping in, spending some of your time with me. I enjoy sharing these creations, and I'm just so thankful that, Stampin' Up! Has things that can help me be creative. So until next time, I'm glad you found me live too, Fifi. It's nice when I have people interacting because then it's not like I'm just talking to myself. So thank you for stopping by. Emily, if you're still on, thank you for stopping by. And until next time, happy crafting.